The hall glittered with wealth. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen rain, reflecting warm light across polished marble floors. Waiters moved quietly between tables, carrying trays of wine and small plates of expensive food. On the stage, a large golden banner read, "Happy 50th Birthday, Shivbayo Adeyemi." Shivbayo Adeyemi was a man who had built a life that many admired. He owned construction companies across 3 states. He donated generously to churches. He funded scholarships in his hometown. To many people, he was not just successful, he was respected. The ballroom was filled with powerful guests, politicians, business partners, church leaders, and relatives from every branch of the family. At the center of the table sat his wife of 25 years, Mrs. Ronke Adeyemi, dressed elegantly in deep burgundy lace. Beside her sat her 2 children, Tolu and Damilola. Everything about the night was perfect, exactly the way Shivbayo liked it. Control, order, respect. As the band finished playing a lively high life song, the master of ceremony stepped forward with a wide grin. "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we celebrate not just a birthday, but a legacy." Applause filled the room. "And now, please join me in welcoming the man of the hour, Shivbayo Adeyemi." The applause grew louder. Shivbayo stood slowly, adjusting the front of his navy blue agbada. He walked confidently to the stage, a man used to being watched. He accepted the microphone and waited for the applause to settle. Then he smiled. "Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight." His voice carried easily across the room. When a man reaches 50 years old, he began to reflect on what truly matters. He paused, glancing towards his family. "For me, that has always been family." More applause. "My wife has stood beside me through every challenge." Ronke smiled politely from her seat. "My children are my pride." He placed a hand over his chest. "And everything I have worked for, every building, every company, every achievement, has been for them." The crowd nodded approvingly. But just as he was about to continue, something unusual happened. The large double doors at the back of the hall slowly opened. At first, no one paid attention. Guests assumed more attendees were arriving. But then, a few heads turned. 2 people had stepped inside, a young man and a woman beside him. They did not look like the other guests. The young man was in his early 20s. He wore a simple dark shirt and plain trousers. Neat, but clearly not expensive. Beside him stood a woman in a modest Ankara dress, her expression calm but serious. They did not move immediately, they simply stood there, watching. Soon, whispers began to ripple through the crowd. "Who are they? Do you know them? They are not on the guest list." On stage, Shivbayo continued speaking, unaware. "And as I look back on my life, I am proud to say that I have always tried to live with integrity." That was when the young man began walking forward, slowly and quietly. The crowd parted slightly as he passed, not aggressively, just curious. The woman walked beside him. Neither of them looked nervous. By the time they reached the middle of the room, almost everyone had noticed them. The MC leaned towards the security guards, who invited them. But before anyone could stop them, the young man spoke. His voice was calm. "Excuse me." The microphone on the stage carried the sound across the hall. Shivbayo stopped mid-sentence. The room went silent. The young man continued walking until he stood directly below the stage. Then he looked up, straight at Shivbayo. For a moment, the 2 men simply stared at each other. Something in Shivbayo's expression changed, just slightly. A flicker, like recognition. The young man spoke again. "My name is Samuel Adebayo." The name seemed to hang in the air. Some guests exchanged confused looks. Then Samuel said the sentence that shattered the evening. "I am here because the man you are celebrating tonight is my father." The room exploded in whispers, gasps, confused voices. "What did he say? Is this a joke? Security!" On the stage, Shivbayo's smile had completely disappeared. His eyes were fixed on the young man. Samuel continued calmly. 23 years ago, my mother worked in a small restaurant near Ikeja. He gestured gently to the woman beside him. She became pregnant. The woman stood silently, dignified. Shivbayo promised to help her. Samuel's voice tightened slightly. But when I was born, he disappeared. The crowd was frozen now. Even the band members had stopped moving. Samuel reached into his bag and pulled out a folder. He held it up. "These are the letters he wrote her." The whispers grew louder. On stage, Shivbayo's face had gone pale. Mrs. Ronke looked slowly towards her husband. "What is he talking about?" Samuel continued. "My mother raised me alone." His voice remained steady. "While you built companies, gave speeches about family, and became a respected man." The hall felt suddenly smaller. He looked around at the guests. "I didn't come here for money." Then he looked back at Shivbayo. "I came here for the truth." Silence filled the room. But just when everyone thought the drama had reached its peak, Samuel said something else, something no one expected. "And the person who invited us tonight is already sitting in this room." The entire hall erupted. People turned their heads in every direction. Who invited them? Which guest? Samuel slowly turned his head. His eyes settled on someone near the front table. A woman in an emerald green dress. Shivbayo's daughter, Damilola. Gasps spread across the room. Ronke turned sharply towards her daughter. "Tolu?" Damilola stood slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were filled with quiet anger. "I found the letters 3 months ago," she said softly. She looked at her father. "They were hidden in your study." Shivbayo stared at her in disbelief. "You invited them?" Damilola nodded. "Yes." The room was completely silent now. "For 23 years, you let them suffer while we lived comfortably." Her voice shook slightly. "And you stand here tonight talking about family." Shivbayo opened his mouth, but no words came. Damilola stepped forward. "If we are going to celebrate your life tonight," she gestured towards Samuel, "then we should also acknowledge the parts of it you tried to hide." The hall was silent for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Shivbayo spoke. His voice was no longer confident. "Samuel." He looked down at the young man, and for the first time that night, he looked like a man who had lost control. "I didn't know about you." Samuel didn't move. "My mother wrote to you for years." Shivbayo's shoulders sagged slightly. Then he looked at the woman beside Samuel, slowly, carefully. Recognition filled his eyes, memories he had buried long ago. I remember you." The woman nodded quietly. The room washed as the powerful businessman stood on stage, no longer untouchable. Just a man facing his past for the first time in decades. Secrets may sleep for years, but the truth has a strange way of arriving when you least expect it. Sometimes in front of everyone you try to impress. A reputation can be built with money and power, but character is built with honesty. And eventually, the life we hid from others will stand up and introduce itself. And that is the story of the hidden child at the 50th birthday. A night that was meant to celebrate legacy, but instead revealed the truth behind it. Because sometimes the most powerful moment in a person's life is not the speech they give, but the truth they can no longer avoid. If you like this story, please stay connected and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.